here my kid had grown up, my children had grown up in Washington, D.C. Nothing had ever happened to them. We moved to this little town, and my son is branded a gang member just by showing up. And so the foundation was embarrassed. It was just a mess. And I said, I will bring everybody that I know in Washington out here, and we will just decimate this place. I can't believe you have done this to my child, who was, he's a junior high school student. I mean, he's petrified, what he claims he was, but he was, you could tell. Well, they told me that they were sorry, of course, and what can you do when someone says they're sorry, they're sorry. And my son went on, he was going to play ball and all those things, but it was really awful for me. I did not like it. And eventually, one of the vice presidents, I guess, said to me, well, Bobby, you're in a place with a lot of money. If you really believe that you can make a difference, that's what happens to African American men, why don't you do something here with all this money that we have? That's exactly how I said it. Well, I was like, okay, what do I do? You may have all this money, but you got to have a plan. And that's what got me started on this road dealing with African American men. They allowed me to bring everybody out there. Money was no expense.
Well, who were some of the people that you brought out to?
Everybody.
So I know there are a lot of programs. There are rites of passage programs.
Most of those I funded.
Yeah. Okay.
I brought all the activists and intellectuals, so we went around the country so we could find out what should be done. I had Haki, I had Lerone Bennett, I had Ramona Edlin, I had the Urban League, I had NAACP, I had everybody. We talked about
Jawanza Kunjufu, was he part of it?
Kunjufu came, yes, I do believe he did come to one of those. So it was just a massive group of people that we put together and came up with what we called an initiative. And I put about $30 million at that period into funding what we consider the best of these programs. About 35 of them, about 200,000 boys were involved. And that included rites of passage programs, leadership programs. I funded Stedman Graham's Athletes Against Drugs program. I funded ancillary programs because my belief was that this was not, I would not let people say it was violence because they kept saying black boys are violent. What I said is black boys need options. Violence is a symptom of something gone wrong. You're violent when you can't make the right choices. You don't know how to make the right choices. So if you learn leadership development skills, you learn how to lead yourself out of trouble. And therefore, all my grant making, all my funding, we insisted that they had to have a leadership component in it, not an anti-violence program, but a leadership component. And it changed really the complexion of how people began to look at young men and what we had to do for them. That was very successful. It was so successful at one point that we had so many people calling the foundation from the U.S. and abroad. They eventually said, this is too big. You're going to have to move this outside of the foundation. They then created a national task force, which was headed by, or I created it, and I was the director of the task force, headed by Andrew Young. And on that was a blue ribbon group of people who served on that, black and white, who served on that task force. And we came out with a report, which is now a kind of a legendary report called Repairing the Breach. And Repairing the Breach is used in many universities and colleges today as a textbook. Repairing the Breach is about how to repair civil society and how to bring boys and their families back into the life of these communities. And it's just the blueprint. When it came out, it was, press releases were sent everywhere, and Bill Raspberry did a column, and in the column it says, this is the plan to save America. And that kind of tag, when you say, this is the plan to save America, people were calling me in Battle Creek saying, do you think you can live up to this? I said, no, I can't live up to that. But, I'm glad that he thinks that, because it means that it has hit a chord with a lot of people. And it did.